Ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that you are fine wherever you are. I'm also okay. Welcome to another episode of Raw Politics. Since 2005, when William Ruto showed interest in becoming the president of this country, he has been assigned very ugly monikers. There are those who called him the high priest of corruption. In fact, they even sponsored some opinion polls moving into 2022 election as to who is the most corrupt Kenyan. And of course, their sponsored opinion poll said that William Ruto was the most corrupt Kenyan. There are those who have painted William Ruto as a murderer. Others call him warlord and many other names. However, of all these names, none has been promoted as vigorously as the term liar. There is this obsession with painting William Ruto as a liar. And I want to tell you why it is important to those who are running this narrative. But before I tell you that, let me quote what one Mutai Ngunyi once said on his X page. You see, Mutai Ngunyi was one of the advisors of the anti-Ruto team moving into 2022. And he said clearly that they tried so many things to paint Ruto as dark as possible, but then later settled on painting him as a liar. And he said that they pumped this until it stuck, until people started believing that William Ruto cannot be trusted because whatever he says is never true. There is nothing that comes from Ruto's mouth that is true. That is Mutai Ngunyi on his X page. He said, we painted him as a liar and used every means to make sure that Kenyans saw him as a liar. Now, you may be wondering, why was that important? Ladies and gentlemen, here is why. Elections are a matter of perception. But that is not all. Even if it is a matter of perception, there are people who want to elect you purely based on what you are promising, aka your manifesto. Let's say people have successfully painted you as a liar using every other means. In reality, they know you are not, as Mutai Ngunyi was confessing, but he said it worked so well. It is something that could really incite people against William Ruto not to vote for him. So when people have been made to believe that you are a liar, and then you come and make promises, chances are that they will believe that you cannot fulfill any promise. And it is difficult to get elected when people don't have hope in you. That is why Ruto's critics, Ruto's opponents, have always insisted that William Ruto is a liar, even though if you put them to task to prove to you instances of his lies, they will then now change tags and call you names yourself. They would be like, maybe you are a beneficiary of his money. That is why you are questioning that. So it is as if you're supposed to be told William Ruto is a liar, and your work is to believe that is a liar without questioning. And that works with some people, but then it doesn't work with everyone. And in this video, I will share with you why, contrary to what is being painted, William Ruto is actually among the very few politicians whose words carry weight. People you can trust. People whose promises you can rely on. That is what I'll share with you in this video. If it is a topic that interests you, continue watching. And if you do find value in our videos, ladies and gentlemen, consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. You see, proving whether somebody is a liar or not is the easiest thing. Yet it is something that some of us have chosen not to spend time on. If I told you that I'm recording this particular video in Mars, Mars is one of the planets. There is no life in Mars as of now, if what the scientists are saying is anything to go by. But then I come to you and I tell you, coming live to you from Mars, chances are that you won't even take me seriously. You would even think I'm just using some analogy or I'm just being hyperbolic. But you won't be like, by the way, you see, is in mass. What I'm trying to tell you is that it is very easy to prove that somebody is lying, because the truth is always there to counter the lie. Let's go through what William Ruto promised. Remember, he's a liar. And see whether he's fulfilling or has abandoned what he promised. Moving into the 2022 election, ladies and gentlemen, after launching his manifesto, the political analysts, the professors on our TV stations, told us that William Ruto's manifesto was too detailed for a manifesto. Under agriculture, he went through details of how he was going to improve our production. When it came to infrastructure, affordable housing, creation of jobs, William Ruto went through every detail in that manifesto. And ladies and gentlemen, to judge whether he is a liar or not, we look at what he promised and whether or not he has delivered it. I said his manifesto was too detailed that the critics said it was too detailed for a manifesto. Meaning those who voted for William Ruto voted for him knowing perfectly well what he was going to do. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This man promised that he would do something about agriculture to improve food production. In fact, to quote him, he said, under him, we will not buy unga at 200 shillings for 2 kg. At that time he was making this promise, we were buying unga at 240 for 2 kg. At the time William Ruto was making these promises, the cost of living was high. Inflation was at 9%. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us see that promise he made about agriculture and whether he fulfilled it. Because then we can say this is a liar or this is a truthful person. He promised that as soon as he takes over, he's going to introduce affordable fertilizer or subsidized fertilizer. By the time William Ruto was taking over power as president, we were buying fertilizer at 7,500. Okay? William Ruto comes and makes it 2,500. That is scrapping 5,000. He first of all registered all farmers, then put a system through which they could pick their fertilizer. There are people who believed that he was not going to do that because remember, Ruto is a liar. He makes promises that he can't keep. But trust me, if you live in this country, you know that as soon as William Ruto took over, the first thing he embarked on, among other things, apart from Hustler Fund and others, William Ruto went very hard on agriculture. And he ensured that there was fertilizer. And that way, ladies and gentlemen, maize production doubled. And you know the laws of demand and supply. When there is too much maize, the prices of unga naturally go down. And to date, ladies and gentlemen, since William Ruto took over, unga has never gone back to 200 shillings per 2 kgs. Never. Unless now you're going for the premium super refined unga. But the normal ones that we buy has never gone there. Even those who buy maize, 2 kg tin is playing always at around 100 and something. It has not gone to 200 the way it had before. So this is a promise William Ruto made that I will come, I will do something about agriculture, and I will fix your agriculture so that cost of food goes down. And if you are honest, if you are not politically biased, would you say that we are buying things expensively under William Ruto than we were under Uhuru Kenyatta? Answer that honestly and you'll find that William Ruto made a promise and he kept it. I could take even 2 hours just discussing the things he has done in agriculture. sugar. We are now upward to be net exporters of sugar. Initially, the sugar industry was almost dead. So this is somebody who made a promise to Kenyans and he went ahead and fulfilled it. I could even start with the mini promises that he made. He said that I'll take over, I'll swear in all the judges. He did that the second day after taking office. He said that he would make the police have their own accounting officer so that the police is independent. He did that almost immediately. He said that he would activate the judiciary fund. That was done almost immediately. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is somebody who made promises and kept them. In fact, William Ruto said something very important before he was elected, that he will not disobey court ruling. And if you can remember, even appointment of the CAS was rejected by the courts. Uhuru Kenyatta, when that happened, when the court declared the CAS position unconstitutional, what did he do? He went ahead to still have them nonetheless and pay them. With William Ruto, when the court said no, he listened to what the court was proposing. They went and did whatever it was. But then later, people saw that we didn't need them. And he also listened to the people and he scrapped that. That decision lost him some political friends. People who had been appointed to those positions, finding themselves without that job again, felt that William Ruto betrayed them. But he said he will not disobey court orders. And to date, I can dare you to mention one court order that was given during William Ruto's term that he has disobeyed. Even during the finance bill of 2023, that finance bill was injected by the court. The court stopped, suspended that finance bill, and William Ruto waited, did everything. Whether it was on legislation of affordable housing, whether it was on legislation of SHA, everything that the court said, they went down, read it, and did what the court said. So he promised that he would obey court orders. Everything that he said, he did, ladies and gentlemen. William Ruto also talked about his desire to get rid of slums, not upgrade them, to eliminate slums. And he said this affordable housing program has only two jobs: eliminate slums, but also create jobs. And people thought that he was not going to do that. He did that, ladies and gentlemen. And today, as we speak, the country looks like a construction site. A lot of houses are coming up. And this is courtesy of William Ruto's promise. He made a promise that he will do something about slums, and he is doing something about slums. He's making a very difficult decision because, remember, this is something that Uhuru tried to do, and it was vehemently resisted. Then Uhuru abandoned it. But William Ruto said, I'm not going to abandon what I promised you I would do. I would not want to be popular. I want to make things right for the majority. And that family that has moved from slums into a modern house can testify that this man keeps his promises. He did the same with the issue of health. He said this universal health care that we've been promising Kenyans since independence, and leaders are afraid of doing it because it will cause this problem, and then the cartels in the health industry will not agree. William Ruto did it nonetheless. It was opposed at the initial stage, as expected, but now there are people who are coming forth and saying, actually, SHA is working. Even critics of William Ruto, some are saying it is working. On the issue of creation of jobs, you see, this is one thing that politicians promise every now and then. No politician vies for the presidency without saying, vijana wana kazi, we will create jobs for you. But none of this politician is willing to make the hard decision to actually create those jobs. So William Ruto, I gave you just an example. He said the affordable housing is also creation of jobs. But that is not where he stopped in terms of creation of jobs. William Ruto went and looked for jobs outside the country. Because Kenyans initially were being ferried into these countries, were being smuggled anyway into these countries without any agreements, without any proper manner of even tracking where fellow Kenyans are. But William Ruto went to different countries and bargained for jobs abroad. And you've seen people going to the Labor Ministry website and applying for jobs and are leaving this country in a way that somebody knows, the government knows where you are, who you are working for, how much you're being paid. He's looking for that diaspora job, but with dignity, not the way Kenyans were being smuggled. We just see them in videos suffering, etc. Now Kenyans who are going into these countries, your embassy knows where you are, who your boss is. You cannot be tortured, you cannot be tormented as before. And it's not just going to be house girls. There are several jobs. You can visit the Labor Ministry website and see the jobs for yourself. This is not some propaganda. You can see the jobs that are available there. And you can go and apply. If you qualify, you go, ladies and gentlemen. So this is promises that he made, and he is keeping them. I could go on, but the point here is William Ruto is not a liar by definition of a liar. Because a liar is somebody who says things that he does not intend to do or will never do them. William Ruto, I've just given you very few examples because I don't want this video to be super long. So I've just given you very few examples of instances of William Ruto making a promise. That keeping means that you are going to be very unpopular, but he kept them nonetheless. Would you call that person a liar? I don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what I wanted to tell you, that William Ruto is not a liar by the strict definition of a liar, because every promise he has made, he is fulfilling, and at a very high political cost. So that is not what a liar would do. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, if you want to know one thing that is going to work for William Ruto, something that is going to even guarantee his re-election, watch this video.